name's Kellie Callender. I'm the head chef of the Bistro at Westwood, and I'm going to do a little bit of cooking for you. Shoot, really? I never miss. I rarely miss. Okay, so I'm actually going to cook for you. Enough fooling around. So my style for cooking isn't really my favorite way to cook, let's say, is just having a bunch of ingredients on hand that I'm excited about and seeing where they go. Usually when I start cooking, I start working my base flavors with onion. It's kind of pretty traditional, pretty common in all cultures. And I'm just going to throw those into the pan after a simple dice. My pan's been preheating for a little while. It's got a little bit of oil in it. And I'm just going to get those sweating nice and gentle. Usually add a little bit of salt. Just kind of help the moisture come out. And I feel like I'll add a little more oil at this point. So now what I'm feeling, I see I've got some ingredients. I might lean towards the kind of Spanish sofrito style. So I'm going to take these cherry tomatoes and I'm going to take some garlic and I'm going to throw those in there and let that flavor base start going. To tell you a little bit about myself, some of my hobbies outside of cooking are rock climbing, beach volleyball. I used to compete fairly seriously in judo, we could say. And I really think that it's important to have a broad spectrum of hobbies outside of your profession because I feel like that integrates into you actually performing better at your work because you become multidimensional as opposed to a lot of chefs who have a kind of singular focus. I very much respect that drive, but I feel life needs to be lived. And for food to be properly experienced, I feel like it needs to be shared and understood. So now that I've got that going a little bit, I'm going to get some carrots in there. All of these vegetables are from local farmers. These are from Chris Brown. His farm is in Yellow Point. It's exactly 21 kilometers away from me. He put it on his odometer and checked one day. We really try hard at this restaurant to support local farmers because it's important for sustainability and it makes a difference in the quality of the food. One, in how it looks. All these vegetables are brilliantly colored. They're beautiful. But also in how it tastes. There's nothing more special than eating a fresh cherry tomato. It's one of my favorite food memories from when I was younger. The first time you try a cherry tomato that's grown properly versus one that was grown in a grocery store, you immediately understand the difference. Not that fun, right? So I'm going to add a little bit of seasoning to it, a little bit of pepper now. Now you can get it going, give it a little shake. Food shouldn't be too complicated in my view. Whether it's fine dining, whether it's cooking for your family, it just has to be cared about. You know, you put love into how you treat the ingredients, they'll generally come out nice. You know, if you're rash, if you're aggressive, generally they won't come out very nice. This is patty pan squash. It doesn't take very long to cook, so I'm going to add that in a little bit later. Got some nice rainbow beans here, which are also from Chris's farm. Just give these a little quick trim and throw them in right now. There's an old philosophy in Japanese cooking, and one of my earliest cookbooks was called Washuku. And they talk about the philosophy of having 5 different colors on each plate that you eat. And it's interesting how that actually works out with the nutritional value of food. Generally, you'll have a more diverse nutritional profile if you're eating different colors. So it's just funny how tradition kind of has this inherent knowledge, and culture has this inherent knowledge of what we should actually be putting in our bodies. The protein that I'm going to be using for this dish is sturgeon. It's on the endangered species list, and it is something that's local to this region as well. Obviously, I'm not using endangered sturgeon. We get our product from the research facility at the local university. So about 6 months ago, one of their students contacted me and told me that they have this program and they're trying to supply chefs with this product. And I was kind of curious about it. I hadn't ever tried sturgeon before, but I knew a little bit about the history because of sturgeon roe, and I know that it was overfished almost to the point of extinction. How their research program works is they're trying to restock local areas with sturgeon, but they have some byproduct of that research, which instead of throwing away, they've chosen to sell to restaurants, which is how we get our hands on it. It's a brilliant product. The flavor is, the texture is meaty. It's kind of, I try to explain it like if you cross halibut and salmon. So it has a lot of characteristics of a white fish, but it also has a lot of characteristics of a fatty fish that's quite flavorful. Normally I would have added garlic earlier. I don't think I added enough. I don't know if I added any. We're gonna have to get that in now. Cut that. So I'm gonna put something right now because it's funny. Even though I know that I'm not cooking for flavor, I know that no one who's watching this video, other than my handy cameraman, is gonna taste this food. You still want to cook with love and care because that's something that's going to come across. People can see that. People can understand that your food is a representation of who you are, and if you don't care about yourself, you won't care about your food. A lot of who I am is also a relaxed, fun person, so you'll also see that in how my food is plated and presented, and how it's prepared, to be honest. These little mini zucchinis are really, really beautiful. What I'm going to do with it right now is just cut it in half. I really like to preserve the natural look of an ingredient, especially in this case. So I'm just going to take it, simply add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. And then I'm going to give that a quick sear in a warm pan and give it a little bit of caramelization and some color. Another thing that people kind of neglect in cooking is the actual physical and visceral experience of it. Cooking isn't just something you do technically. It's not something you can read in a book and fully understand. You have to be in the environment. You have to feel the warmth of your burners, of your stove, of your fire, whatever heat you're using. You have to listen to how your food sounds while it's cooking. You know, when I'm training young staff, I don't have to be in the same area, but if they're overcooking something, I can usually hear the way the pan's crackling and then let them know. And then they understand to use all of their senses when they're actually experiencing food and when they're cooking food. So all those ingredients are coming along. They're more or less cooked. The zucchini is getting a little bit of color on it. My pan's getting maybe a little bit hotter than I want to, so I'm just going to take it off the heat for a little while. And then I'm going to start preparing the fish. So here is the sturgeon. It's from the local university, Vancouver Island University. I really go simple with any proteins I'm doing. Just salt and pepper is usually all it takes. I like to preserve the natural integrity of the ingredient itself. That's kind of my style of cooking. Simple, but with care. Now the zucchini has a lot of color on it. It's caramelized. It's got a good seasoning layer, and I find it's very visually appealing. I cook for myself. I generally try to reuse pans because it just means less work, less dishes, less cleanup, and I think the more people focus on cooking as something that's going to be an enjoyable experience and not going to be work, the more people are going to explore their passion with cooking. So I'll just drop the fish in that hot pan, give it a gentle sear. Once that's seared for a little while and developed a little bit of color, I'm going to add some butter to the pan, and then I'm going to flip it and finish it on a lower temperature so that the meat and flesh doesn't overcook. Sturgeon's a kind of tricky fish to cook because it's not super popular in Western cooking, let's say, is not an ingredient that most chefs have worked with. So to experience it, you actually have to teach yourself how to make it, as opposed to most things, which people have experimented with it so many times that you kind of get a head start on how to make it. While the fish is in the pan, I'll season up the other side. Give a quick look at my vegetables, and they seem okay. So I'm going to turn my fish pan down to give you the toss. Some of the most important things in my life are friends and family. I really feel I live a pretty low-key life, a pretty relatable existence. I enjoy sport, I enjoy being athletic, I enjoy nature, and I really just enjoy any type of experience. I mean, the more open-minded you are, I find, the more you can actually enjoy life in any aspect of it. You know, I can go to different cultures or communities, and I feel like I'm at home because I'm happy with whatever they're doing. I'm just happy seeing what they're doing and seeing the way they smile at each other. Even if I'm not involved in it, I just find it a really peaceful place to be. So I'm going to give the fish a quick flip. It's got a nice color on the outside. I'll give it a feel to see that it's fairly close to being done. Once I just let it finish up on the bottom side there. And now my vegetables, I'm going to give them a little bit of a taste. The most important thing you can do when cooking is actually tasting your food. It's funny how many young chefs come into work, and I constantly have to check and ask to see if they've actually tasted the food before they ask me if it's good. It's so important to know their opinion. It's so important for them to develop their own opinion. Pretty good. It's really good. Food makes me incredibly happy, especially when you're making something in an environment or a situation that you're not used to. For example, in front of a camera, and doing everything improvisationally. You don't know how it's going to come out, and to have a shot like this and to have that shot be filmed is kind of an interesting experience, because moments like that are often lost in the kitchen when people are working hard to develop a dish, and they have those kind of aha moments where they're really excited about something. The guests don't really get to experience that, you know, and I'm kind of happy that you can see that, and that I get to experience it, and that the cameraman will maybe experience it. So now the fish feels cooked. I'm pretty confident that it is. I've cooked this fish a few times before. And then I'm just going to do a simple plate for you. Clean spoons. Try to be professional. So you saw how simple this dish was to prepare. It's just ingredients in a pan. Very, very fresh ingredients. Lots of color. Lots of vegetables. The only real seasoning is salt and pepper. And then the fish, again, simple seasoning. Just carry it over to the plate. Place it right there. When I'm plating, I try to keep things tight to the center. I find that adds a lot of visual appeal. Just for garnish sake, I'll add a few little microgreens here, just to spruce it up, and some shiso leaf. Shiso leaf's a very interesting herb that I've never worked with before, but one of the farmers I work with actually started growing it, and it's something she was really passionate about, so I started using it in a lot of my dishes and a lot of my presentations. Alright, that's basically how I cook. So hopefully that's good. And I guess I'll tell you a little bit about why I want to be a part of this show and why it actually matters to me on a deep level. Sustainability matters to me. Doing something positive with my life very, very much matters to me. And I think that as a chef, most people don't consider their impact on the the social environment around them. Um, but it's becoming a more prominent role where chefs are taking ethical approaches to what they do with food and learning about other cultures, teaching people about other cultures, helping people be more open minded, and focusing on local food are all things that I think will help sustain and maintain a healthier relationship with different people from all walks of life. So, yeah, hopefully you're into what I'm into. And action? Is that how this works? Cut? Hi, my name's Kellie Callender.